the employee. So where the where the truth veils is what you will have to, in fact, show as the justice being given to the complainant or to the cause of complaint.
Do you ever, could you remember during your tenure in office at the Office of the Ombudsman as an investigator, a landmark case wherein the complainant, an employee, filing a complaint against the employer, and in your investigation you found that there was maladministration?
Yes, I have found not only one but many, and there are cases actually that we have utilized, let's say, the techniques of investigation or the methodology of investigation, because we were exposed to settling disputes not only through the, let's say, ombudsman's legislation, but it's still true. We could utilize the alternative dispute resolution, that is ADR. So we were using ADR as a technique that could settle disputes between the complainants and the respondents. So we've discovered that I can remember a landmark case definitely in point, where somebody had a land, and this land was allocated to him for a long period, and it was given to him by the state, and then he developed it by, that he fenced it and then built up a foundation and left it there because he could not economically continue it. But then after a period of time, the land was re-entered and given to somebody else. And it was, a building was erected in that particular land. So the man came, both of them, they were at the edge of going to even kill one another. But when the complaint was launched, we studied the complaint and discovered that, well, definitely the re-entering was done, but it was not done in the proper way. And even though if we contacted the physical planning then and to see if at all they were going to demolish it, it was going to be a waste. So we utilized the technique of alternative dispute resolution. That is, we mediated the case and contacted the then minister, who was really very helpful and gave us a plot of land that was virgin land, not being owned by anybody. And we explained to him that, well, this land, this is meant for this purpose. We wanted to solve this problem. So we went and we asked the former man who's the first leaseholder of that land. And we told him that, well, this is the land in question and it's in a strategic area. It's a little bit of a bigger size than the land that you had before. So the Sarahule who constructed that story building on his land, we asked him, look here, if at all this man is given this land, are you ready to return back the fence, return back the foundation? And he was generous enough not to only do that. He gave him 200 rods more and more trips of sand, and within 2 weeks he fenced the area and gave him about, I think, $40,000, and it ended up like that. Some of my, in fact, learned fellows, as we call them, the lawyers, some lawyers, they were not very happy about that because they wanted the case to be going through litigation.
Your experience in political science and labor administration and employment, the time you had in the office of the Ombudsman as investigator, gave rise for you to accede to this top job, first Chief Executive Secretary of the Alternative Dispute Resolution Secretariat in the Gambia. Did you see this coming? Was it a natural progression that from the way you started, you were just building on your career to this very, very important position that you held some time ago, meaning first Chief Executive Secretary of the ADR Secretariat?
Well, you see, ADR, Alternative Dispute Resolution,
you saw it coming.
Yes,
you saw that one day you
I
will
saw
be
that. Well, it is already inbuilt in us.
Of course.
It's African. We could even call it African dispute,
Resolution.
African dispute resolution, because these mechanisms, they were existing then, prior to the coming of the colonial masters. And the colonial masters, well, put it in the Gambian people that, well, or in Africa here, or anywhere they went, that if you have a dispute or any sort of a problem, be it a commercial dispute, employment dispute, land dispute, or whatever kind of a dispute relating even to compensation, you should go to court. So they bring in litigation, which is going to court. Now, going to court actually could resolve a great number of problems, to be quite candid. And it has been resolving problems. We must be very honest. It has been resolving problems. Lawyers have done some extraordinary jobs here to litigation. But it has come to a time that, you know, we have now reached a time or a period that litigation cannot absorb all. And if you go to developed countries or anywhere you go, like America. Germany, France, England, they've seen that, well, okay, they have to pave for a way in order to settle most of these disputes. So they return back to what the colonial master, or what they found when they came here.
ADR.
That is alternative dispute resolution. Because we were doing mediation, we were doing conciliation, we were doing arbitration, and we were doing negotiations. And these actually sorts of mechanisms, they exist in our own languages, and people could utilize them to sort out most of the problems. And even, for example, if we look inside public administration, which is another kind of administration, different to labor administration, because labor administration is an administration dealing with public activities, but in the field of national labor policy. Whereas in public administration, when you come to authority, power, and you have